Maya's antics on here. Okay, so that's cool. Today was just kind of a check-in sort of day. I wanted to make sure that I was showing you folks what I mean when I talk about doing the museum project virtually. You'd all be very proud of me because I did rather a lot of hunting around online to see what was already out there as far as a virtual museum platform. And it turns out a couple of really enterprising folks have actually created a downloadable form that will download into Google Slides that will actually take individual people's work and put it up on the walls of a virtual museum. So I wanted to show you what that was, and then we can talk about what you want your, talk a little bit about topics, and then also talk about what is it that you'll send to me so that I can insert it into the final project. So take a gander here. I'm going to, please excuse my messy desktop. Okay, yeah, let's do that one. Oh. Okay, so can you see this, folks, in the background? That's okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
What this is basically kind of a pre-programmed program, I guess, you know, for lack of a better term, that will allow us to put in information and for people to virtually walk through the museum. Let me show you the presentation mode. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so let's go ahead to the next slide. Woo. Now, this was stuff that I typed in. It's one of those things where you can click on an area and it will let you insert a photograph. It'll let you insert text, can even insert a video if that's something you decide to have as part of your project or to kind of illustrate the topic that you're covering. And this is the way that this works, okay? I think I was working in, was I working in room 1 or room 2? Well, let me give you an idea of what this is like. Now, if you see this section over here, this is where we can insert a photograph or insert some text. And if we click there, it'll take us along to a slide where on this side, there can be text. On this side, it can be a video, or it can be more text, or it can be photographs. Now see here too, go back to the museum lobby. Cool, huh? Once you get the link for this, you're going to be able to go through and see everybody else's contributions to the project. Here's something that, oh, wait a second. You also get to put in yourself as a curator. So, right there. So we can get your picture up here, give yourself a little bit of background, and people will know who created each slide. Okay. Hold up here. Sorry for making people sick. This is the contribution that I'm going to put in, a historical share about a man whose original name was actually John Doe. He was found in Illinois in 1945, I believe. He was deaf, and because he wasn't acting in a real standard way, they presumed that he was feeble-minded, to use the term. So if we click on John Doe here, it will bring us over to a video in which his story is told in song. And I can also go through and add some additional information, okay, to tell more of his story. All right, is this kind of helping people envision how you're going to be able to contribute? Let me give you something else here. Oh, whose dog's crazy? Okay. Here, I'm going to screen share one more time because I want to show you a little bit about what I would like for you to contribute. Say No. Let's go to another screen share. And yes, we'll go to you folks. And then we'll go here. Is everybody seeing a kind of a blank document here? Okay. Let's say when I was working on my project on this gentleman named John Doe, who eventually became John Doe Boyd, originally he was institutionalized at the Lincoln State School. So did you see there? I just did a Google search for some of these places or some of these people, and I had the picture come up here. Now, underneath, I could add in the text of the Lincoln State School and Colony, where John Doe Boyd lived for 30 years. Okay. Now, if I'm to go, I don't know if I maybe closed it. All right. Anyway, this is something that I can take, copy, and then go back to the presentation to paste it in. So do you see how this will work? So your formatting is even not super important here. I can also take whatever text you have, once again, copy it, carry it over, paste it in, and then have the link from your initial image about the topic over to your text about the topic explaining what it is. And then the final part will be this. Okay, everybody can see faces again, right? Not just me? Okay, cool. Oh, Tia, can you see us? Just wave if you can hear us. Okay.
I can hear you. I could just see you though.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. That's fine, actually. Yeah, I think it's because you're on your phone. Is that right?
iPad?
Oh, you're on your iPad. Okay. Yeah, it may not be, it's probably just set so speaker view will come up.
Okay.
Okay, so you're fine. I don't think you're, I don't
Yeah,
think.
okay, there.
Okay, good. There we are. The other part of the project will be, I'm going to have it be instead of your reflection number 5. I mean, we're still doing reflection number 4, which I'll take up until Sunday of this week. But instead of reflection number 5, we'll just fold that into the final project, and have you write out, you know, a little bit more about the topic that you chose and why you think it's significant to the study of the history of intellectual and developmental disability. Maybe it's because of models of disability. Maybe it's because of a parallel that you see between the way things were in the past and now. Like, for example, with the John Doe Boyd story that I was just telling you. It was back in 1945. He was a young man who was deaf, who hadn't been to school to learn to communicate in any kind of formalized sign language. He was also Black. And because of those different intersecting identities, he wound up being institutionalized for the rest of his life because he just showed up on a street in Illinois and nobody knew who he was. And people didn't necessarily expend a lot of effort. And the presumption was, since he couldn't understand, that he was feeble-minded. You know, maybe, maybe not. Certainly the environment contributed to him not being able to engage his mind and engage his life and his talents as fully as, you know, other people, which happened unfortunately a lot in institutional settings, is that people actually lost skills. People lost abilities that they had had previously because they didn't have experiences. They didn't have a lot of different things to draw on. You see what I mean? So the environment wound up being much more of a disabling factor. I'll also kind of send you along an idea of what I mean. What we'll do is I'll put all of those reflections together into a museum catalog, essentially, and that will count as your 5th journal entry, but it'll also count for the final project. Okay, so I think probably the easiest way to do this, is everybody familiar with working with a Google Doc? Okay, Maya, I know you are. Tia, you're kind of okay with it? Maya, I know you've sent me things through Google Slides. Um, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, what I'll do is I'll send you a link, and when you click into that link, it'll take you to a Microsoft Word document. And what you can do is then upload the information that you want to have displayed in the museum. I'll take care of putting it together into the museum and getting it up. And the thing that's nice about the Google Doc as well is if you've written something and you go back and you look at it a little bit later and you say, yeah, that doesn't really sound that good, I'll wait until just before the due date to go through and make sure you have it's in the format that you want. So if you find an additional picture, or if you find a video or something like that. I was particularly proud of myself because I learned how to insert a video into Google Slides. Had to Google it, but I did figure it out. I was very proud of myself. So if you have a video that you want to include, whether it's, maybe you want to speak about something, maybe you want to discuss some of the intersections, maybe you'll find a video on YouTube, or maybe you'll find a video on Vimeo. Send me that link. Now that I know how to insert it, we'll be able to put that link in and have that be part of your section of the display. Okay, does this help people understand a little bit more of your responsibility and what it's ultimately, hopefully, going to look like, as long as I don't do anything weird? Okay, does anybody have any questions?
When is the official due date for this?
It's an excellent question. Let me grab the syllabus. Okay, well, we have the final day of class is the 28th of April. But as far as the final exhibit, we can be a little bit flexible on that. I can hold off on putting the whole thing together, sending it out to you folks for your responses to it, and to make sure it's the way you want it to be. But we can be a little more flexible. Do you have a bunch of due dates kind of piling up on you, Emma, at some point?
So my classes actually finish April 23rd.
Okay.
So we were originally supposed to end a little earlier than the main campus academic schedule, and we're sticking to that. So I'll be completely done with all my other classes by then.
Okay.
So I'm not worried about dates and stuff like that.
Okay. So Maya, I see you've got a question in here, and I want to make sure I get to it. Does anybody else have an issue with maybe having the final parts, excuse me, of the project in by April 28th? Does that seem like it'll work, or is anybody looking at that saying, oh God, that week is awful?
I can talk to Justin. I'm not sure what his schedule is looking like, but I know for us, we're still trying to get the hang of doing stuff virtually and connecting that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I will talk to him.
Okay.
Hopefully today. I did message him, so we'll see if I can get in contact with him, and then I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, why don't we have it be kind of tentatively April 28th? If we need to juggle it back and forth by a couple of days, that'll be fine. Okay. All right. So Maya, let's see. Do we do the one room exhibit or a whole museum? Very good question. You're just responsible for one room. We'll have a different topic in each room. If there's more information, I can copy the later slides, and when people click on something in your room, it'll just take them to 2 or 3 slides so that you can add in all of the information that you think will help. But did you see how it was designed with, you click this arrow, you go into room 1, you click into room 2, 3, 4. There's a way to create additional rooms. If I can't figure that out, we'll just have you folks share rooms, because there's usually at least 2 display parts within each of the room, and with 8 of them, that'll cover the class. So the next thing that I'd like you to be thinking about, and this doesn't need to be we don't need to get back together for a meeting for this, but I'd like to talk to you a little bit about topic selection, because this is a little more of a historical bent. You can choose a topic or a person that we had studied about during the semester. If you were particularly drawn to something like Carrie Buck and her sterilization case. If you were particularly interested in, let's see, eugenics, Deborah Kallikak, who are some of the other people? We're going to be reading some really interesting writings from individuals who lived in some of these large state institutions, about some of their experiences. So you may look at it and say, oh, I would really like to write about Ruth Sinkowitz Mercer, maybe Jean Giannini, the fellow who wound up being declared criminally insane. And it also doesn't necessarily have to be a person. On the very first page is the Syracuse State School. And I figured that might be a good opening page for us. I actually changed that page and I was happy about that too. If there's a particular state school that you know about, whether the Belchertown State School or Willowbrook, like the Willowbrook State School case. I'm trying to remember the name of the institution from the Pennhurst Asylum. But let's look at something that occurred maybe like before the 1950s. So you can go back pretty far. If somebody's interested in, how did the colonies deal with intellectual developmental disability and like to go back through. But you can also just kind of crawl around on Google and see if you can find other stories that are interesting. You can go back to the Museum of Disability History that I gave you a link to before. You find a topic in there that you think is particularly interesting. You can work with that. So let's have it be this way. I'll shoot out an email blast a little later on today and just ask you to submit topics, because that'll also help me figure out, okay, well, where is this going to actually physically go in the museum? And I'll kind of write all of these instructions up so you know exactly what it is that you're going to be sending in. And so all of those things will be due on the 28th, but we'll get it all into shape, and everybody will get link here, and then you can go through and enjoy the museum opening. You can have a nice glass of wine if you're inclined, and some cheese and crackers or something like that. You can grab some unsuspecting member of your household and say, here, we're going to a museum. We're going to go through. I'm going to make my husband watch it. And it's a link as well I'm going to share with Jean, who spoke to us on Tuesday. I have a Facebook page called History Worth Mentioning, and I'll see if I can figure out a way to get us loaded on there, because I have some followers there who might be really interested. They were very excited when they found out there was going to be a class. Okay, so any other questions, feel free to shoot me an email or shoot me a text, something like that. I'll write this up so it's a little more clear, and I'll post the video. I am going to post a Nearpod link today, not because you have any work to do for it, but we want to make sure that you get to see the copy of Mia's historical share and Maya's historical share. So I was able to get all of that loaded up onto Nearpod, and that'll be good. That sound good, Maya? So I'll send that link along as well. And you don't have to worry about doing any work. Maya, you can ask your mom to type it in for me, or you can just unmute yourself and she can tell me. Oop, now I don't know how to unmute you. Okay. If you want to go ahead and type it in though, Tanya, that'll be fine. Just send it in here to everyone. Oh. Oh, I think I see Justin coming in. I knew Kevin couldn't join us today. Hey, Justin, how you doing?
Hello.
Okay, we were just going through, Justin. I'm going to send you a copy of the video, and okay, and Emma's got to go because she got another class starting. Oh, okay, Maya, you were just showing Emma who I was. Okay, I get it. So, Justin, I went through and explained a little bit more about how we're going to do the museum projects. I'm also going to write it out, but Lacey was here listening to the whole thing, so she can help explain what it is you're going to be doing. Your part's actually really easy. My part includes mostly not messing up the template.
Okay.
Okay, sound good? Okay.
Yep.
So if we can hear like from over the next week of the topic that you're going to choose for the museum, just get it, just get it approved, and then we'll go from there and plan to have people pass in their contributions by the 28th. Okay.
All right.
Otherwise, everybody good? I miss seeing faces in person.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's keep flattening that curve though, okay? Because I guess maybe it's starting to work. So, okay, everybody take good care of yourselves, and just send me an email, or Mike an email if you need anything, okay? Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.